Stay tuned to learn the easiest way to understand the hearts and minds of Chinese people.
Everyday Easy Chinese.
大家好，我是 Everyday Easy Chinese 的林老师。Do you know who Confucius is? If you don't, Confucius is considered to be one of China's first teachers. He is a Chinese philosopher that died nearly 2,500 years ago, but his ideas still shape the Chinese society and culture till this day. By reading the collection of his ideas and sayings in a book called 论语, or some Chinese people like to call it 论语, or the Analects in English, you'll be able to understand more about the Chinese mind. And that's exactly what we will be doing today. You'll be learning how to say 3 quotes and also 3 principles from the Analects in Chinese, and these are things that all Chinese people would know. And we'll also go through the meaning of each one as well. Now before we start, please do give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for free weekly Chinese lessons. Let's start. The first quote we have is 己所不欲，勿施于人. This means do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. 己 means oneself, 所不欲 means everything that you don't want. So 己所不欲 means everything that you yourself don't want. 勿 means do not. 施 means to impose, and 于人 means other people. 勿施于人 therefore means do not impose on others. So how did this saying come about? Well, it was said that one day, one of Confucius's disciples asked him, "There is just so much wisdom that you have. If there was just one phrase that I should take and remember for the rest of my life, what should that one phrase be?" And that's why Confucius told him, 己所不欲，勿施于人. And I know you may think this is so obvious. We shouldn't do something to others that we don't want done to us. However, you must note that nearly 3,000 years ago, in that society, there were things such as slaves. So the richer people that didn't want to do something would obviously ask the slaves to do it. However, in such a conservative society, 孔子 was brave and intellectual enough to share this wisdom with the society, and it still rings true to today. This is also a golden rule that applies in Chinese business and personal life. For example, Chinese people would rather have harmonious business deals and dissolve family conflicts rather than always try to have an advantage, because that is what you wouldn't want someone to do to yourself. So the second saying we have is 30而立, established by 30. 30 means 30, 而 means and, 立 means established. So by the time you are 30, you should be established. But established in what? 3 things. The first thing is that you should have an established set of moral principles. The second thing is that you should have an established career. And the third is that you should have established a family. And that's why you see lots of pressure in Chinese society and culture to be married and have a family by the age of 30. So much so that particularly for women in China, if you enter your 30s unmarried, then people refer to you as 剩女, which means leftover women. So the third saying we have is 成人之美, which means help others succeed. 成 means 成全, which means to fulfill or help. 人 means people, so other people. 之 is the equivalent of 的. It's a possessive article, and 美 It's like good things. So altogether, it is helping others to succeed in their matters. Now, if you're interested in Chinese dramas, you may know that a lot of the plot lines sound like this. There are normally two guys that happen to be friends and they like the same girl. What normally happens? Well, normally the girl falls in love with just one of the guys, and instead of the other guy being jealous all the way till the end, at a certain point in time, they will start to help their friend to have a successful relationship. Now, this is an example of 成人之美, when you help others succeed rather than be jealous of them. And this is something that you see in a lot of Chinese dramas. Comment below if you have similar sayings in your language. Now let's move on to 3 principles from the Analects. The first principle is 孝, which means filial piety. If you look at the character 孝, you can see that it is made up of the characters 老, which means old, and 子, which means children. 子 is at the bottom, so it looks like it is supporting the 老, which is on top. Now this is one principle that differs quite a lot from the West, because in the West there is more emphasis on individualism and living out one's dreams. However, in China, as can be seen in the character Xiao, it is the old, the parents who gave life to the children and provided them with all the necessities they need, and therefore children have an eternal obligation to support them and repay their debt to their parents, basically taking care of their parents in old age and making them proud. And that's why you may notice that Chinese people are more sensitive to the opinions of their parents. Also, during every Lunar New Year, you'll also notice that Chinese people like to go back to their hometowns to visit their parents and take care of them. This notion also transcends beyond the boundaries of families and affects other people too. For example, if Chinese people saw a person treating their family or elders badly, then they would think that this person is 不孝, which means not filial, and therefore this person would lose faith and respect in society, and this will mean that it will be very hard for them to find a job or fit into society, because employers will think, how can I hire or associate myself with this person if they're being so disrespectful to their family and also elders? How would they therefore treat me? Now this is different to the Western world, because in the Western world, when you apply for a job, your relationship with your family doesn't affect you getting the job. However, Chinese employers do look at what kind of relationship you have with your family. So the second principle that we have is 中庸, the golden mean. 中 means middle, so unbiased, and 庸 means constant, not changing. So imagine that you are driving a car. Now, if you're driving a car on a straight road, you'll want to keep the steering wheel in the middle. You wouldn't want to go too far to the right or too far to the left, right? And this is exactly how 中庸 is like. It applies to all areas of life, especially in relationships. For example, with your friends, you do not want to be too close with them, nor do you want to be too remote with them. You want to stay in the middle and have a balance with them. Now, again, this is different to Western society, where you can see phrases such as go hard or go home, or all or nothing. However, Chinese people like to have a balance. So the third principle we have is 忍. Confucius didn't give this word a definite meaning, but it appears so many times throughout the Analects. In fact, it appears over 100 times. If we look at the character, we can see that it is made up of a person, 人, and then the number 2. So the word literally means how people should treat one another, with compassion. So essentially, if there is harmony between people, then everything would go well. However, if there is disharmony, then disaster will arise. And that's why you may notice that Chinese people are not confrontational when it comes to some situations. They would prefer to mediate the situation and find harmony rather than to confront it directly. So to summarize, today we looked at 3 quotes and also 3 principles from the Analects. The 3 quotes were 己所不欲，勿施于人，30而立，成人之美。And the 3 principles were 孝、中庸、仁。Comment below to let us know which principle or quote you relate to the most and whether you also have similar quotes and principles in your language too. Remember to give us a like if you enjoyed this video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for free weekly Chinese lessons. See you next time!